If you're a small business owner in South Africa, government tenders can feel, well, impossible, like a game you just can't win. But what if I told you the rules are a lot clearer than you think? In this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise and get to what it really takes to land that contract. And we're not just guessing here. We're going straight to an expert. Check this out. Thandi Pino. She's a bid evaluation pro, and trust me, she has seen it all. She's watched countless companies succeed and, fail, sometimes over one tiny little detail. So her insights, they're going to be our guide through this whole thing. So that really brings us to the big question, right? Let's forget all the rumors and the stuff you hear on the street for a second. What are the people on the other side of that table, the evaluators? What are they actually looking for when they open your bid? All right, first things first, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. The big one. The thing that stops so many brilliant entrepreneurs from even bothering to try. And you've heard it, right? Everybody's heard it. Oh, all government tenders are corrupt, that every deal is already decided before you even submit. You gotta know someone. The whole system's rigged. And look, it's an understandable fear. You see the headlines, it's easy to think that. But here's the thing. According to our expert, Thandi Pino, the reality is, well, it's a lot more complicated than that. She says that actually trying to cook a tender from start to finish, it's incredibly difficult. Why? Because the system itself has all these built-in checks and balances designed to stop exactly that from happening. See, it's not just one person making a call. You've got a specification committee. They're the ones who figure out what's needed. Then a totally separate evaluation committee scores all the bids that come in. And after that, a final adjudication committee comes in to review the whole process, just to make sure it was fair. So to rig the whole thing, you'd need a whole syndicate controlling 3 different independent groups of people. It's literally designed to be tough to cheat. Okay, so if it's not always about corruption, then why do so many bids from really good companies fail? Well, that brings us to the single most common reason great businesses get knocked out of the race before they even get started. Yeah, this quote from Thandi just hits the nail on the head. So many competent companies lose, not because they can't do the job, but because they just don't pay attention to the details. Think about it. The government is spending public money, our money. So process, accountability, that's everything. That attention to detail, it is absolutely non-negotiable. And this is where people get caught in these simple traps. An expired certificate, a forgotten signature, or submitting a reference letter for building a road when you're bidding on a housing project. These tiny details lead to instant disqualification. The evaluators are literally looking for reasons to shrink that pile of applications, and a simple admin mistake is the easiest red flag for them to say, nope, you're out. All right, so let's say you've mastered the paperwork. You've dotted all your I's and crossed your T's. What's next? Well, now we talk about money, pricing. And oh boy, this is where a whole other set of dangerous myths come into play. This is probably the biggest one, the idea that the lowest price always wins. So many people get tripped up by this. They think they have to slash their prices, cut their margins down to nothing just to have a shot. But racing to be the cheapest, that can be a fatal mistake. And one entrepreneur, a Mr. Skosana, learned that lesson the hard way. Man, this story is just wow. So Mr. Skosana gets a price from his supplier, $100,000. He's so excited he's thinking, I've got this. He quickly slaps his 15% margin on top, quotes the client $115,000, and he wins. He gets the tender. But he missed one tiny, crucial detail. The manufacturer's price didn't include VAT. So when it was time to pay his supplier, that 15% VAT cost him $15,000, which was his entire profit margin. Poof, gone. He did all that work for absolutely nothing. And that right there is exactly why the lowest price isn't the end of the story. The evaluators, they're looking at something called total cost of ownership. They need to know you've actually thought this through. Have you accounted for transport, for labor, insurance, all of it? A price that looks too good to be true probably is. It just screams that you've missed something, and that makes you and your business a huge risk. So, getting the paperwork and the pricing right is a huge part of the battle. But there's another side to this, a human side. It's about integrity, ethics, and dealing with some really immense pressure. And Thandi Pino's own personal story is just a powerful, stark reminder of this. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she saw things that weren't right, non-compliance and the mad rush to buy PPE. And she spoke out. She tried to stop it. And the backlash was severe. Her life was threatened, her phone was tapped, she lost her job. But she didn't give up. She rebuilt her entire career, turning that horrific experience into the very expertise she now uses to help other people. It just goes to show, resilience is one of the most powerful assets you can have. Okay, so after hearing all of that, especially that last part, you might be feeling a little discouraged. I get it. But hang on, because there is some genuinely good news here. There's real reason for optimism. The entire landscape is changing. And believe it or not, it's changing to favor small businesses. And this big change? It's all thanks to the new Public Procurement Act. This thing is set to completely shake up how the government buys services. And the main focus? Empowering businesses just like yours, the small and medium-sized ones. So what does it do? Well, one of the biggest features is something called set-asides. Basically, it means certain tenders are now going to be reserved or set aside exclusively for specific groups, like businesses owned by women or by young people. This is huge. It means a small company won't have to go head-to-head with some massive corporation for these contracts anymore. It dramatically levels the playing field. And check this out. What happens if you feel a decision was unfair? In the old days, your only choice was to take the government to the high court. We're talking slow, incredibly expensive. I mean, who can afford that? It was completely out of reach for most small businesses. But this new act, it changes everything. It creates a new procurement tribunal. Think of it as a cheaper, faster way to appeal a decision. It finally gives small businesses a real voice when things go wrong. So, let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway here? You know, the common belief is that the game is rigged, but the reality? It's a game with very, very specific rules. Winning isn't about who you know. It's about mastering those rules, the rules of compliance, pricing, and process. So the final question we should be asking isn't, is the game rigged? The real question is, are you playing it right?